The infernal glow of the city of brass burned on the horizon. Its many great spires of black iron pierced through the smog-choked sky. The adventuring party stood atop a cracked ashen ground of the elemental plane of fire. Their silhouettes were framed against the flickering light of distant volcanoes. They had come seeking the aid of a great king, Amemon, an Azer of renown, to find a secret passageway into the city and strike back at the cruel Ifriti known as Hell-Eye. Before venturing forth, they prepared themselves against the searing heat of this hellish place. Sillin, the elven ranger, had secured enchanted cloaks woven with threads of frost, while Zilich, the warlock, had procured potions of fire resistance from an alchemist in Waterdeep. Grother, the cleric, cast a powerful ward of protection, creating an invisible barrier that shielded them from the worst of the scorching winds. "The Azer forces lie ahead," said Sillin, pointing toward the jagged mountains where molten rivers carved through obsidian cliffs. "If he's still as wise as the stories claim, he may be our only hope." The group pressed on, the air thick with heat that made each breath struggle, despite their magical protections. At the heart of the mountains, amidst a labyrinth of tunnels, they found a grand forge of Amemon. The walls shimmered with veins of burning ore and hammers that rang against anvils, sending sparks dancing into the gloom. At the center of it all stood Amemon himself, broad-shouldered, bearded, and crowned with a circlet of blackened gold. His molten eyes flared with curiosity as the adventurers approached. "You come to me with desperate faces, and steel untested by flames of true war," he rumbled, setting aside his hammer. "What would you ask of Amemon, king of the Molten Forge?" It was Zilich, the warlock, who stepped forward. "Great king, the Ifriti Hell-Eye has taken dozens of innocents from our home at Waterdeep, dragging them to the city of brass to be sold and enslaved. We streak to sight them down, and the city's walls are unsaleable. We have heard whispers of great paths, known only to the Azer. Will you aid us?" Amemon's gaze darkened. "Hell-Eye is a tyrant, with his grip upon the city stronger than the chains he wraps around his slaves. But the way you seek is perilous. A passage does exist deep below the city's foundations, through tunnels forgotten even by the Ifriti themselves. It leads into the depths of Hell-Eye's stronghold, but the path is guarded by creatures of flame and shadow." The party exchanged glances, their resolve hardening. "We will brave the dangers," Sillin said, "but we need a guide." Amemon stroked his beard and gave a slow nod. "Very well. My warriors will not march with you, for the city of brass watches too closely. But I will grant you Emberth, a fire method of cunning and knowledge of the hidden ways. He will guide you through the lost tunnels beneath the city." With a snap of his fingers, a flickering ember coalesced into the form of a small, impish creature wreathed in flame. Emberth stretched his wings, ever glowing like molten gold, and smirked.
"Ah, a perilous journey into the fire and shadow. Sounds delightful. Try not to get incinerated."
The Azer King placed a heavy hand on Zilich's shoulder.
"Then may the flames guide you on your path and burn away the darkness."
With Emberth leading the way, the adventurers turned towards the city of brass, their fate now entwined with the fires of war and the vengeance of the Molten Forge. Welcome. Today's video is on the Azer. First, what does the monster manual tell you? Well, honestly, not much. There's literally 3 lines, so instead of summarizing it, I'll just read it as presented. Quote, "Azer are living bronze folk who work the primal elements of creation to craft weapons and magical wonders, and they are among the multiverse's mightiest infernos." End quote. That is all the monster manual tells you. So I'll move to the stats. Presented in the monster manual are 2 stat blocks, one for the Pyromancer and another for the Sentinel. Both options are medium-sized elementals, which are lawful neutral aligned. Let's begin with what the monster manual tells that the monsters have in common. So they both possess fire, poison, and poisoned immunities. They both have a 5-foot diameter fire aura, which deals 2d10 fire damage, unless the Azer is incapacitated. The 2 creatures, being that they are creatures of fire, shed a light in a 20-foot radius around them, with dim light an additional bit as well. The Pyromancer is a CR6 monster with spellcasting and melee attacks. Thematically, it presents as a once-per-day fireball, CR6, once per day fireball. Okay, wizards. Twice per day hellish rebuke. Okay. Power creep is real. The Pyromancer also possesses at will elementalism and mage hand cantrips. The Pyromancer's main attack is a strict upgrade to Firebolt, as it has a hybrid melee and ranged attack option called Flame Burst, which deals 2d10 plus 4 fire damage on a hit, which it can use twice per turn as an action. The Azer Sentinel is the weaker version, clocking in at CR2. As I've said, the monster possesses Fire Aura and Illumination, but this variant possesses no spellcasting, and its only direct attack is Burning Hammer, which deals an average of 11 damage on a hit. Next, let's go over what the monster manual does not tell you. So, Azer are elementals native to the elemental plane of fire. They're said to have been created by fire giants whom they served, but some lived separate to their creators. Azer are said to be also said to be descended from dwarves, which owes to their 5-foot height and affinity for crafting and smithing. Some speculate that modern dwarves are the descendants of those who escaped slavery of the fire giants, while Azer are those who remained enslaved, while other sources claim Azer are just elementals native to the plane of fire, and that their dwarfish appearance is merely a facade. Azer are said to have brass-colored skin, flaming hair, and beards. The Azer often wore apron-like clothing made from shaped metal like bronze or copper. Azer don't covet gold, but instead gemstones, causing them to wage war with factions in the elemental plane of fire, such as the Afridi in the City of Brass. Long ago, the Azer were allied with the Afridi and helped them construct the City of Brass. During the building process, the Azer learned of the city's features, such as secret passageways, and to prevent these secrets from being revealed, the Afridi tried to betray their contract with the Azer and enslave them. Since then, the Azer have used these secret passageways in and out of the City of Brass to disrupt the business of the Afridi and to weaken them through skirmishes. Azer reproduction is not a natural process. It begins by crafting offspring and imbuing the body with some of your own inner flame. This process is slow and intense, and that is the reason why Azer population growth is very slow. So in conclusion, if it looks like a dwarf, crafts like a dwarf, and it's short like a dwarf, is it a dwarf? I like this dwarvish ambiguity in the lore. Not everything should be known to the DM, and especially not to the players. The presented lore is limited, and there are allusions to them being master craftsmen, but no magic to corroborate that assessment. It makes me want to tweak the Azer Pyromancer to be more of an artificer than a wizard, with access to magic items and maybe even the artificer spell list. The position of the Azer as being antagonistic to the Afridi is interesting, and I could see adventures where adventurers seek out an Azer to gain intel in the City of Brass in a plane-hopping campaign. Overall, the entries are varied and interesting. I'm going to give this monster a 14 out of 20.